सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। सर्ववेदान्तसिद्धान्त गोचरं तमगोचरं गोविन्दं परमानन्दं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्। We continue our study shloka number 91. स्थूलस्य संभव जरा मरणादि धर्माः स्थौल्यादयो बहुविधा शिशुताद्यवस्थाः वर्णाश्रमादि नियमा बहुधा मया स्युः पूजा वमान बहुमान मुखा विशेषाः. In this sthula sharira, Shankaracharya ji continues asya sthulasya sambhava jara maranadi dharmaha. So there are various dharmas of this sharira, and that is what is talked about, what is experienced through this upadhi of sharira. So asya, we have to add that, it's not supplied over here, so we have to add it, we have to supply it. Asya sthulasya, of this gross body, sambhava, born out of it, jara maranadi dharmaha. The sthula sharira has the dharma of, over here, jara maranadi. Jara, old age, or completely decaying or diminishing, and sambhava, born, jara, decaying, maranani, this death, dharmaha. These are the various dharmas of birth, getting older, decaying, and then it just perishes. Sthauladayoho. Sthauladayoho, born out of this sthula, heaviness, grows. It is none other than literally big, large. So dharma of fatness, adi is said. So fat, then thin, tall, short, all these etc. is what is meant by etc. That we can add all those things, that the very various dharmas, such as some bodies are very large, some are very skinny, some are tall, some are short. Each one of them, Ashtavakra, we see in the Ashtavakra Gita, he had limbs which were crooked, but the buddhi was incredibly sharp. So people, if they judge at the level of the body, they will not really understand the greatness of a person. So, sthauladayaha, increasing in size, obesity, etc. Bahuvidha, various different types. Shishu, shishutadyavasthaha, shishuta adiyavasthaha, childhood, etc. Different such states we go through when the child is born. Shishu, and then Kumar avastha, then Yauvana avastha. So all these various states we go through. Shishu is very child, very small. And then Kumar is aprajana shakti, like our Nachiketa in Kathopanishad is 8-9 years old, but the body has not yet matured. Shankaracharya ji calls it aprajana shakti. And then Kumar avastha, Yuvan avastha, etc. So all these various avasthas are there. And then not only that, varna shramadi niyamaha, various stages, like varnashrama, brahman, kshatriya, vaishya, shudra, and niyamaha, and they all come with their own particular niyama of a brahmana karma, niyama of a vaishya karma, etc. All of these niyamas, these different duties, which rules of caste, order, creed, etc., all of those are there. Bahudha Amayaha syuhu, Bahuda, very many. Amayaha, various diseases. There are so many diseases, etc. So all of these, Bahuda Amayaha syuhu, and then Puja, Avamana, Bahumana Mukhadi, etc. So puja, some people, Pada Puja, Gurudev, when he was alive, people used not Paduka Puja, Pad Puja, literally worshipping the very feet. So puja, avaman, and then all a dishonor. Not only that, but bahumana, some people give great respect, great honor, etc. So worship, honor, dishonor, etc. All of these visheshaha, we see these distinct things which happens to a person. So this body comes up with so many things. It goes through from childhood all the way up to death. Potential exists, asti, jayate, vardate, viprimanate, apakshiyate, vinashyati, the shat vikaras of the body, and on top of that, varnashrama and all different sizes and this and that. What Shankaracharya ji is saying, that all of these different kinds of dharmas are there to the sthula sharira, and this sthula sharira is what is considered to be anatma. The fifth question that the student had asked in the 49th shloka, को नाम बंधः कथमेष आगतः कथम प्रतिष्ठास्य कथम विमोक्षः कोसावनात्मा kahasau anatma. So all of this, Shankaracharya ji takes the fifth question and in detail he has talked about this sthula sharira, anatma vastu. Then he took the world of objects, anatma vastu. All of these, now he is going to, in the next section, organs of perception, organs of action. So the 10 senses over here, what are the 10 senses? That is talked about, and that also at the level of the body, the pancha karmendriyani, pancha jnanendriyani, all of this, how it is just all anatma. And in the shloka number 92 is the organs of action, organs of perception, and then moving on to the inner equipment, that is also nothing but anatma vastu. So he's continuing what is anatma vastu over here. बुद्धीन्द्रियाणि श्रवणं त्वगक्षि घ्राणं च जिह्वा विषयावबोधनात् वाक्पाणिपादागुदमप्युपस्थ कर्मेन्द्रियाणि प्रवरेण कर्मसु. So over here, vishaya avabodhanat, for the understanding and gaining knowledge of vishaya, objects. So in the second line, last word, vishaya avabodhanat, for the sake of the perception of the sense objects. What are those? Buddhi, indriyani, Shravanam, Tvak, Akshi, Granam, cha Jihva. These are the senses of perception. So, Buddhindriyani, for the knowledge purpose, Indriyani, the knowledge for the intellect. What are they? The Indriyani. The Indriyani are Shravanam, hearing. Then Tvak, the skin, we feel through that. Granam, then Granam, I missed Akshi. So Tvak meaning the skin, and then I missed Akshi. Akshi, eyes, seeing. Granam, the very sense of smell, and jihva, the sense of taste. So from the grosser, if we are going from the subtle to the grosser, the subtlemost is Shravanam. Then the next one is skin. Then the next one is Akshi. And then the next one is actually Jihva. And then comes Granam. Granam, the smell, is the grossest, most born out of earth element. Jihva, the taste, born out of the water element. Akshi, color and form, we see, born out of the fire element. Tvak, the skin, born out of the Vayu element. And Shravanam, born out of the Akasha Tattva. So in this way, Buddhindriyani Shravanam Tvagakshi Granam cha Jihva Vishaya Avabodhanat, for the knowledge of the senses, the organs of knowledge. Buddhi Indriyani Vishaya Avabodhanat. The organs of knowledge are for gaining knowledge of the objects. So that's the first two lines. Now the second line is Pravarena Karmasu. It propels us into karma, karmasu pravarena, for the sake of propelling us into the world of actions. What are those? So, vak, speech, pani, the hands, pada, the feet, gudam, the anus, and upastha, the genital organ. So in this way, karmendriyani karmasu pravarena. These karmendriyani, organs of action, it is for us to propel us into the world of action, and it gives us a tendency to respond to the world. So by karmasu pravarena, it allows us to respond to the world, and the jnanendriyani is for the apprehension, for the knowledge. So in this way, these are the organs of perception and organs of action. I have been mentioning them for a long time, but in 92 finally Shankaracharya ji talks about these. And what are these? These are also anatma. So born out of the 5 great elements, the sattvic amsha of these 5 elements give birth to the jnanendriyani, and the rajasic aspect of these elements give birth to the karmendriyani for propelling us into action. All this is there in Tattva Bodha, we can at length. But on this fabric of Vivekachudamani, Shankaracharya ji is more interested in answering about the Atma Vastu and how we can realize. So we will proceed further into the inner equipment. So section 22 from shlokas 93 and 94. These two, they talk about the inner equipment. Sukshma Sharir, actually it goes from shloka number 92 all the way up to shloka number 107 is Sukshma Sharira. So that is also anatma. Sthula Sharira 72 to 91. Sukshma Sharira 92 through 107, and Karana Sharira 108 to 123. So all this is the answer to the 5th question, is what Shankaracharya ji is describing. So we continue over here, 93 and 94. Nigatyatentakaranam manodhihi aham krutish chittamiti svavrittibihi manastu sankalpa vikalpanadibihi buddhif prapadarthadhyavasaya dharmataha atrabhimanadahamityahankrutihi swarthanusandhana gunena chittam. So this antakaranam in the first line, the middle 2 words, antakaranam manaha dhihi ahankrutihi chittam iti svavrittibihi nigadyate. This is the prose order. Antakarana, the inner equipment. What is the inner equipment? he's saying manaha. The first one is mind. Then dihi, buddhi. Then ahankrutihi. Ahankrutihi, ahankar. And then the next one is chittamiti. Chittam is the fourth one. Memory. Swavrittibihi. Swavrittibihi, by their own functioning. Nigadyate, they are so-called declared, they are identified, or they are declared. To speak is the actual root. Gat, to speak, gatyate, So these are the four antakarana. So manaha, buddhi, ahankrutihi is ahankar. In this Gurudev's BMI chart, we have this mana, mind, intellect, buddhi, ahankrutihi is this PFT, and then chittam iti. Chittam is the flip side of the intellect, is the memory, which is in the blue stuff over here. It is the flip side of that is, and we will see what that is. So what are the definitions of each one of them? Each one of these four lines now are describing the meaning of each one of them. Manahatu sankalpa vikalpanadibihi. What is mind? So manahatu sankalpa vikalpaha. So mind is the seat of doubt. Should I do this? Should I not do it? Sankalpa, should I do it? Vikalpa, no, maybe not. So it is a seat of hesitations. It is a seat of doubt. And that is what the mind is. If we ask someone, what do you want to eat? No, I don't know. It's like, we will go have Indian food. No, I don't like it. Then mention it and say it. So this mind is not ready to make a decision. It is not capable of making a firm decision. It is a seat of volition, a pendulum yo-yoing from two sides, and that is that mind. And that's why it is so important that we train this mind properly so that it can come to decisively make a proper judgment call. Because it cannot make it. Now the next line gives the definition of the buddhi, and it says buddhihi padartha adyavasa. So this buddhihi padartha adyavasaya dharmataha. What is buddhi? Padartha, object. Adyavasaya dharmataha. The nature of an object, it precisely gives a understanding of. It, by its nature, it is determining the truth of the object. Padartha adyavasaya. The truth behind the object. What is it? And because of it, other place, its definition from Tattva Bodh over there is Nishchayatmika Buddhihi. It gives a firm conclusion, a firm decision. And because mana is Sankalpa Vikalpa, mind has to come into close relationship with buddhi for buddhi to pass on the decision to the mind. But if the mind has a mind of its own, it is divorced from buddhi, which gives a firm decision, then the gati of the Jivatma will be somewhere else. It is the buddhi which sheds light into the path into which the jiva is supposed to travel. And that is why buddhi is nishchayatmika. It is very important that the mind learns to surrender to the decisions of the buddhi. And that is why the Dharma Shastra is so important. That is why Nitya Karma, Naimittika Karma, all of these are so important, because it just simply doesn't allow the mind to exercise its own volition. It trains the mind, do this. Why? Because the Shastra has said so. Why? Because the Guru has said so. Because you cannot come to a decision, so rely on Shastra, rely on Guru. That is why the Dharma Shastra is for the training of the mind. Very important that we learn to train this mind. And then the next one is this ahankar. What is this ahankar? Ahankar is atra abhiman aham iti ahankrutihi. So the atra over here, where over here? In the platform of this antakarana, when the mind doesn't come to any decision, the intellect comes to a firm decision, the ahankar, abhimani, it identifies with this decision, it identifies with the mind and the intellect. That's why over here it is said atra over here, on the platform of mana and buddhi, abhimanat, on the account of identification, ahamiti. Abhimanat, not just abhimanat, asamantat, completely identifying with it and owning it at aham iti. I have made that decision. It is mine. Such is the nature of this ahankar. Atra abhimanad aham iti aham krutihi. This is how we split that, and that is what this ahankar is, the one which is a seat of identification, and it says, yes, I have not reached a decision yet, or yes, I have reached a decision. No, I have not reached a decision. So all of that, the ownership is not at the level of the sankalpa vikalpatmaka manaha. The ownership is a very subtle ego which rides the waves over here. It rides the waves of mana and buddhi, and it solidifies them as my decision. This is the atra abhimani asamantat. Very decisively it owns up this antakarana's decision. And then the last one is Swarthanusandhana gunena chittam. So this chittam, this memory, what is that? It is the Swartha Anusandhana gunena. From its functioning of remembering or contemplating on things it is interested in. So that is called memory. It pulls from the bank of memories which it has collected over a period of time and pulling it from the database and consciously generating thoughts on what has already been experienced by this jiva, and from that memory bank it extracts information and it thinks about it, swa, one's own, artha, whatever object, anusandhana, continuously going back to it and dwelling into it, and gunena, as per the gunas. Some are sattvic vrittis, some are rajasic vrittis, some are tamasic vrittis. As per the gunas, it will continuously chittam. It is this memory aspect which continuously gives a continuum. You know, when we go to bed and when we wake up, the time duration of the sleep may be, several hours, 6 to 8, whatever people sleep. But then, we pick up right where we left off. Very, very unique. Jagrat Avastha, because the Avasthas will also be talked about over here. I am jumping little further, but when we wake up, we continue from where we left off. Temporarily, it was suspended, but even in that suspension, some identification to the dream was going on. We can wake up and say, I had this dream. But then, we don't continue the dream, we continue the waking state, where we left off. This is quite important in allowing us to keep that continuum of the avastha, and that is what is also over here. It is implied contemplatively, it remembers and it continues, continuous in this chittam, memory is there. We learn something, like bicycle, we learned it in the childhood. And then there's a gap for 20 years or so. And all of a sudden we go somewhere and for a vacation and they're renting out bicycles. Haven't ride a bike in 20 years. But we get on top of it, there is some amount of confidence that I'll be able to ride. And that memory comes in. They say there is a muscle memory, This is where it comes from. There is an antakarana message which is sent, and that muscle all of a sudden picks up. We are wobbly in first, 10-20 seconds, but it's as though there was no break even for 20 years. We pick it up. So this is very important. In all the tasks that we do in our life, we just effortlessly do it. But this chittam plays a very important role in extracting information, driving. I was talking about, some of our actions are just on autopilot. We don't even, think twice about it. We just do it. So this is why it gives us in this Jagrat Avastha, mana, buddhi, chitta, ahankar, and the experience of this jiva becomes such a solid experience, it cannot be negated. All four instruments are so vital in creating a human experience. This equipment over here is what makes us the roof and crown of creation. The very fine motor movement. The child, when it's learning to walk as a toddler, it just falls so many times. And years later, it can walk on a thin rope suspended over a canyon. A person did that in Grand Canyon, from one side to the other, mile down. Just the thought is like horripilation, that how can somebody do that? But people are able to walk across a thin wire suspended between such a thing. And when we start the journey of life, so many people have to hold us and we fall, and how many times we have cried and bruises and this and that. But this equipment is the roof and crown of creation. The very fine motor movements, the ability of the intellect to precisely analyze objects, the advances in science and technology in the field of just, chemistry, physics and biology itself has created ample of comfort. That is because of the very nature of this buddhi to penetrate, sukshma buddhi and tikshna buddhi, the sharp intellect required to get the essence of this padartha over here. What we saw, padartha adyavasaya dharmataha. How beautifully it just picks up, and it is capable of furthering the cause of science, technology, medicine. Just it goes on and on and on, and that is this buddhi. So this is antakarana. There are so many. We will be able to see various ways in which this antakarana functions. It will become more and more clear in Jagrata Avastha, in Sapna Avastha, in Shushupti Avastha. The antakarana is very unique in that. This one, there is no chandas over here. The chandas is actually gati. So shloka number 95 are the pancha pranas over here. Section 23 all by itself, the pancha pranas over here. Pranapana vyano dana samana bhavatyasau pranaha swayameva vritti bhedat vikruti bhedat suvarna saliladivat. So basically, prana, apana, vyana, udana, samana iti asau pranaha bhavati. So basically, what is pranaha? So we will see in detail prana, pan, vyana, udan, saman, etc. But when we talk about pranaha, what is pranaha? The basic expression of life is pranaha. Then the divisions can be seen as pancha mahapranas and pancha upapranas, and so many pranas are there. But what is pranaha? So over here Gurudev says that prana stands for the manifested life energy. It is the insignia of the expression of life. This is what prana is. just the principle of live energy which gives life experience. I was talking about the human experience, but this is life, the expression of life. Imagine somebody is lying in ICU, and in ICU, the machines are keeping the person alive, and they may be in coma for days, weeks, but we don't know how the person is suspended for such a long time. The life principle is there and the person is kept alive. And in so many rare cases, the person comes back after being in coma for such a elongated period of time. And wonder of wonder, the buddhi is also there, memory is also there. It's very mind-boggling. Even physicians have not been able to understand. And no two people who go into coma will behave the same. That's why they don't know whether to continue life or not to continue life. They leave it to the family. It becomes very difficult. This is expression of life. It's the basic rudimentary expression of life. Where is this spark of life? We don't know. Angushta matra purushaha madhya atmani tishtati, etc. Upanishads say that in the size of a thumb, in the very certain place in this heart, left side of the heart, it pumps aham ahamiti atma rupena bhati, that I am. It beats over there. So many ways are there. But so many doctors have opened the heart and tried to fix and all of those things. No such angushta matra purushaha has been discovered. But this prana, the basic unit of life, the very life energy, we can see it, the very life force which breaks out of an egg, such a hard egg. The mother has been sitting on it the mother bird has been sitting on some 20, 30 days or whatnot. And this little energy in that egg to just break out. Giant crocodiles, they dig, and so many eggs are left in this pit, and then she covers it and she swims around close by and she goes, eats food, whatnot, but she will hear the sound of that little crocodile, just so small, like a lizard, and she's a giant, some 15-footer, but some sound vibration she picks up and she said, they're ready to come out, goes, runs and digs them out. Such a giant animal that the foot, while digging itself, can kill and crush it, and the jaws, that mouth which kills. So many animals, with that mouth she lifts all of them and takes them to the water. The expression of prana's life, when we think about, the play of consciousness, it is mind-boggling. We cannot understand, we cannot fathom. So, this very beautiful expression over here, now from this vital force, there is an energy which enlivens this entire gross body, just 5 elements. And like we were talking about in Panchi Karanam, the admixture, the division of the elements, and then recombination creates this body. But the enlivening forces, how is it put into motion, and how the elements are just the same 5 elements, and how it is kept alive. This is, the science that our rishis have figured out. This is, in medical textbooks, this type of pranic expression of life is not understood. They understand medicine from a different standpoint. Not that it is wrong or something, but the rishi mind has understood so much about the life force. So the first one is prana. The pran over here is the very physiological function of the prana is none other than the breathing, the inhalation. And it allows, this pranic shakti allows us to have hunger and thirst. If this prana is the first itself is not there, hunger and thirst will not be there. And if hunger and thirst is not there, how will the entire life force be kept? It has to continuously burn some fuel in order for the body to be kept at this certain temperature. This whole factory, and each cell is a factory in itself, but it requires energy molecule for it to function. Like big factories, they require electricity. During our industrial revolution, the steam engine powered all different types of machines. Science discovered the power of steam and how it can put machines into motion. Now we have electric power, nuclear power, solar power, so many different types of powers which fuel the entire industrial companies and all of those things, the expression of that. So this giant factory of cells, how is it going to function? This prana is the rudimentary. And then the byproduct, there is a waste. So waste has to be sorted out. So the apana vayu is for rejecting all the waste. Then comes the next one, prana, apana, vyan. So the vyan vayu, it is all pervading, sarva vyapak. It is everywhere in this body, but it is specifically said that this vyan vayu dwells in all the joints. Each one of our joints, knees, elbows, wrist, this thumb, all of this, the movement of this body, the responsible factor over there is this Vyan Vayu, without which movement is not possible. And if this Vyan Vayu diminishes, we call it arthritis. And as we age, this Vyan Vayu, it starts leaving. Once upon a time, the person may be the Olympic gold medal winner in, 500-meter dash or whatnot. And then in 50 years of aging, a person requires a stick to go from bed to bathroom. So much pain. And these vayus, they keep on changing. We have so much hunger and thirst during our teenage years. The body is growing, it needs it. That same food, if we give to an 80-year-old person, it will become a cause for death, early death. Not much required. There's no hunger. The whole system is coming down. It takes 9 months to build this system, and so much effort of the life principle forces to keep this entire system running. This is a marvel and wonder of wonder. If we cannot believe in God looking at this, then how will we believe in God? This itself is a wonder. People do say, prove to me God exists. Arey, you don't have to go anywhere. Look at this system, how it functions. This, we have to plug in every night to charge it. Look at this. We sleep and we regain our energy and we keep on going, and wonder of wonder. That is, it is also responsible for digestion. It dwells in these joint areas, but it is also responsible for digesting, and after digesting, the circulation, the samana vayu, what has been digested, every single cell of the body has to be fed. What a plumbing system is in here that delivers food to even the hair follicle for it to grow. The nails, we clip it off, but the food is delivered to it. The hair follicle, the nail, and what to talk about, all different, the sapta dhatus which are there, various cells which contribute to it. And then the last one, the udana vayu, thinking thoughts. Urdhva gamanam vayu. This is the opposite in when we do hiccups, this is the udana vayu. When we are thinking very fast and eating, notice that if your thinking is if your mind is running at a high speed, and if you're eating very fast. And in that motion of eating fast, sometimes the food will go in the wrong pipe. In the breathing, it will end up, and all of a sudden the body has to stop that person. Hey, what are you doing? You're thinking so much. You're not paying attention to the physiological function. It is going in the wrong place. We try to talk while eating, all of these things, and it goes in, and all of a sudden this udana vayu kicks in, and the person has gagging reflex, and he has to vomit out what has been eaten, and cough, drink water and clear the palate, and all of those things. This is the udana vayu. And this udana vayu responsible for our thinking faculty, because thoughts are burned at a very high rate. Energy is burned. We just think that mind feels emotions, and then intellect thinks thoughts. If a near and dear passes away and the mind is very sad, the family, the distant members who are around, we have to feed, because there's no interest in eating. That mind has slipped into a very melancholy state. Sometimes out of depression, people overeat. These are all vayus at work, So many ways in which just this body functions. And all of this, if somebody is about to die, doctors have even declared in ICU that, from experience they say, otherwise even doctor who can declare death. But they say, please call your kith and kin. Not much time, maybe a day, maybe 2 days, hospice care or whatever it is. And if you've seen, one by one the vayus start leaving. Pranas slow down. No apan actually. Catheter is put and the urine outflow also not there. In this way, forced circulation is there. There is no much circulation, nothing. One by one, the organs also start shutting down. And the last vayu to leave is udan. Last job this vayu does is, it pushes out antakarana from the sthula sharir. This is the last vayu to leave. After that, we pronounce the body lifeless. That life principle which kept it alive, now, bharya bibyati tasmin kale, in Shankaracharya in Bhajagovindam, even the wife fears, oh my God, this body was there as a protection and all sorts of things, but now just take it away, hardens and etc. etc. So this last is this udana vayu. Swayameva vritti bhedat vikruti bhedat. So all of them swayameva by themselves due to differences in functions, vritti bhedat. Then vikruti bhedat due to differences in the very modification, each one of them so distinct. And suvarna salilatvat, like gold and water, completely different, meaning a gold is completely different, water is completely different. So these five, they are very different, but put together, experience of life, the life force. Each one of them, they are there, the presence is there for the experience of life. And we have Patanjali Maharshi Ji in Yoga Shastra has so many different types of pranayam. Just the inhalation, exhalation, exhalation. With this pranayam itself, nadi shodhanam can be done. Now nadis, so what do we talk about such nadis? 72,000 nadis in this body. From Mooladhara rises 14 main nadis. It is explained in Bhavana Upanishad. And from these 14 nadis, so many nadis come out. And it is in this nadis, these very subtle air passages, this antakarana is moving about. And when this pranayam is done for a long period of time, the Chetana Shakti of the person rises very high because the nadis which are blocked are open. There are so many different types of pranayams. Bhasrika and Bhamri and I don't even know because I don't practice. I only practice simple Anulom Vilom. But we can do so much for just a simple Anulom Vilom is enough for Nadi Shodhana. And what to talk of this Antakarana can be taken through. Some yogis have the power to take the Antakarana through various nadis and even take it to various lokas and experience. Astral travels they call. So many can be done. The power of pranas actually we know very little. We in fact can say we know nothing. Just the 5 pranas are keeping us alive. And from a little bit of what Patanjali Maharshi ji has explained, some yogis have gone into such great who without all this Hubble telescope, and our rishis came up with the 12 zodiac signs and 24 constellations so far away. The wedding tradition of after the wedding is done, showing of the Arundhati. Now science understands it's a 2-star system where the 2 stars are revolving around each other. And the Shastra is saying that that is how a wedding should be, that each should compensate and work together with the other. Now, who knew about such star system over there? Is a glory of pranas where the antakarana can travel, with where the eye goes through a little telescope. We have learned just a wee bit about the visible universe, but many a people have traveled and have had alaukik experience in this human birth itself, with this human instrument, experience that these equipment are even incapable of fathoming. The precise right time, the degrees into which the constellations are, the names that they have given, right names. Back then, 4000, 8000 BC, who had all the equipment that we are having? And even with the equipment that we have, we don't understand how it is functioning. It's actually a glory of, pranas. With pranas, where they have taken this antakarana, this jiva, which is so small, so minute, we don't even understand, but its very power of all-pervading self, this is, this pancha pranas. Very, very unique. We will continue with shloka number 96. Tomorrow we will see the subtle body. Contemplating upon all these, it improves our astikya buddhi. Why am I going into all this? Because we studied definition of Shraddha, we learned. Shastreshu, Guru Vakyeshu, Satya Buddhi Avadharana, etc. etc. Swaswarupa Anusandhanam Bhaktiritya Vidiyate. We saw all the definition. But actually, how do I cultivate that devotion? How do I cultivate this deep, unshakable faith? When we contemplate it's just one shloka, Shankaracharya ji on pranas. But when we go into the understanding of it, we truly marvel Narayana. Narasya ayanam. His abode is in a human being. And what He has given us, we have not even begun to understand the gift of our body. And we are about to negate this body, Before we negate it, through it, we should have faith in Him. And if that faith is not cultivated, and bas, हाँ सही बात है, mano buddhi chitta hankarana, bas, I'm not any of that. The ahankar is saying, the ahankar becomes humble when we understand the glory of Bhagavan. The two hands come together. Nata mastaka anjali. The head comes down and the two hands come together. Bhagavan, really, step over here. Bring me down. Bring me down. Hanumanji never looks at Rama. He's looking at the feet of Bhagavan. Because that humility allows us to gain knowledge. That Hanumanji tells Bhagavan, you gave Navda Bhakti to Shabriji, Vibhishan has Vibhishan Gita, Lakshmanji you gave Upadesh, everybody you gave something. When will you give me, Bhagavan? He's looking at the feet, and Bhagavan says, hey, I have saved the best for you. My next birth I'm teaching something. You jump on top of Arjuna's chariot. You will learn. It's humility, looking at feet of Lord Rama. And he gets a chance to hear. In the next avatar of Bhagavan. And for that, he gets the status Chiranjeevi. Sapta Chiranjeevi, Hanumanji is one. Someone may wonder that how is this possible? This is called faith, bas. Did Hanumanji ask, how will I show up next birth? When will I know you are coming down? Arey. There's this divine hands in this creation. This buddhi falls short of understanding the glory of Narayana. Sarve bhavantu sukhinaha, sarve santu niramayaha, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhave. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.